So, yes, it's the short intro about our company, MOOC Group. We are here with our partners from AWS, and actually we are solution provider and distributor for more than 100 hardware, software, and cloud vendors across more than 11 countries. So we grow in every year. And we are some kind of center of expertise about cloud solution, about integration, migration, and so on. We mostly work with partners, with IT companies who resell the software and projects and cloud services, but we also are providing professional services for our customers from any country. So in this webinar, we will talk about why to migrate, why could you migrate, why should you migrate to AWS, and of course, in my part, we'll discuss how to migrate, what you have to plan, what you can use, which tools are available. So feel free to contact us. We provide a lot of different services, including consulting, including trainings, and I hope we can find some points of working together if you have any questions about AWS. And now I pass the scene to my colleague from AWS. Igor, please.
Thank you. And my name is Igor Sharfmeister. I am solution architect at AWS. And today I would like to talk about why companies choose cloud for their application, why they don't migrate their existing application to the cloud, and why they start new project in the cloud. And I also would talk about why people use AWS for their cloud. So if you have any questions, please put it in the chat and I will address them after the presentation. If you look in the internet what cloud computing is, you will find a lot of different definition of what is the cloud. This is because the cloud is a very wide concept and many companies understand it differently. So I would like to start with explaining how at AWS we understand cloud computing. So at AWS, we define cloud computing as the on-demand delivery of IT resources via the internet and with pay-as-you-go pricing. What does it mean? In a traditional environment, when you start a new project or if you have some idea, you have to purchase the servers. And sometimes, and for some applications, you won't be using these servers for every time, especially if you do some machine learning, or maybe you do some analytics, or maybe if you have an e-commerce application and you just have some periods of peak demand during the year when you need a lot of servers, but for the rest of the time, this service won't be used. But you have to keep this service because you purchase it. With the cloud, you can rent the servers just for some time, for a minute or even for a second. And when you don't need any compute capacity, you just release it. And when you use this service in the cloud, you pay only for the time you use these resources. But as soon as you release this service, you are stop paying, you will not be charged for anymore. And all of these resources accessible via the internet. But it doesn't mean that your infrastructure will be open to whole internet. It just means that you can purchase your resources via internet the same way like you purchase some goods via e-commerce. So you do the configuration of the cloud through the web interface. But your cloud will maybe configured in a way that it will be completely separate from the internet and it will be completely private. But for a moment, let's imagine that we are not the computer specialists, not the IT guys. Let's assume we are carpenters and we can create some desks, chairs, and so on. And we just purchased a new apartment and we try to furnish it. And the question would be, if you are able to build your own chair, would you do that? And most of the time, your precious skills will not be the right application to build some commodity stuff. And this is the same for IT infrastructure. Because when we talk about the cloud, we always speak about the servers, but in reality, IT application is much more than just a service. It requires some analytical applications, maybe some databases, some machine learning, and of course, some computer networking infrastructure and so on. And this is so-called commodity infrastructure. Your customers are not choosing your application. They are not coming for your business just because you run some type of the database. They come to you because you can provide some value for them. But to provide the value, you have to have the reliable IT infrastructure underneath. And within a cloud, you can get these ready-made building blocks like databases, monitoring solutions, analytic solutions, maybe Kubernetes clusters, and you don't need to create this from scratch by using your own skill. And this allows you to implement your application much quicker. What happens if you have a new idea and you would like to implement this within a traditional on-premise approach? So first of all, you have to order some servers. And usually at the very first step, you have so much uncertainty. So you really have to guess the capacity of the servers, the type of the servers. And after you made this quest and you hope that the quest will go correct, then you have to go through the procedure of ordering the servers. Then you wait the lead time, then you receive the service, you have to bring the service to the data centers, you have to install them into the racks, you have to install operating system and some software on it, then you do the test, and only after that you can get to the point when you can install your application and make it live. And usually it takes months. And if your idea was correct, if your application is successful and you need to extend the infrastructure, then again, you have to wait for several months for that, because you have to go through the all procedures again. You have to guess the capacity, you have to order servers, you have to receive the service, install, set up, test, and everything. So it takes ages before you can start working on your application. But what will happen if you do this in a cloud environment? In a cloud environment, you can provision all the infrastructure running simple scripts, because the cloud is an infrastructure as a code. You just write the script that creates the server environment, that install and provision all the necessary software, and all the time it consumes is the time of running your script. So basically, you can get started in a minutes. And when you see that you need to grow your infrastructure, you can just run your script again and you get the additional infrastructure delivered in minutes. Moreover, if your application is elastic, which means that, for example, in e-commerce situation, when you see that there's more customers coming to your e-commerce site and you need to add the capacity, cloud can do this on your behalf automatically. So your size of your application will be extended. And when there will be a night or maybe the peak season goes off, then the infrastructure could be shrunk to the smaller size and you don't need to pay for this additional service anymore. So your infrastructure will strictly follow the demand that you receive by your users. And basically this means that when your users come to your site and you get some revenue out of this visit, you just share part of this revenue with the cloud provider. But if there's no users, you will be not getting revenue yourself, but you also won't be using any additional infrastructure and you won't be paying to the cloud provider. AWS CEO Andy Jassy once said there is no compression algorithm for experience. What does it mean? If we look at what people think when they consider implementing an application or any kind of digital solution, there's a lot of struggle to find the right solution, to find the necessary skills to deploy the solution. and to test this. And sometimes, and many times, it's very hard to get this knowledge. You can have the knowledge about how to build the application, but choosing the proper database, choosing the right sizing, learning how to operate these databases or other infrastructure. The only way how to learn that, it comes only with the experience. And by using cloud, you can benefit out of the experience of the cloud provider in delivering this kind of infrastructure. And that's why in AWS, we provide more than 200 different solutions that that create these building blocks that you can use to create almost any kind of application that you can imagine. So you will have the developer tools. You will have different options to run your workload. You will have the solution to work with the security and identity. You can implement different types of the database. You can do different things with the machine learning, starting from the data preparation to the training to running the models and so on. So you don't need to test all the solution by yourself, and you will benefit on the experience that AWS already have. And AWS have a lot of experience because AWS is on the market for already 18 years. We have 33 regions around the globe where we provide the infrastructure. We provide more than 200 services, and within these 200 services, there are more than 300 security features that ensures that your workloads will be protected. And once Jeff Bezos was asked, Jeff Bezos is the founder of the company Amazon, and AWS is the part of Amazon. Once Jeff Bezos was asked, how do you know what the customer wants? How do you know what kind of services they will be looking for? And he told, we actually don't know. And the way how we decide on what services to implement, how to extend the capabilities of the cloud, is by asking our customers. So most of the services, like 95% of the roadmap of AWS, is created based on the feedback we provide we get from the customers. But also, Jeff Bezos told that the only thing that we are certain that never the customer will come and say that we would expect that you will raise the price. And that's why we are very concerned about the pricing. And AWS has already made 134 price reduction to the different services since it was incepted in 2006. AWS have global infrastructure all around the world. So our infrastructure called regions, and you can see that we cover almost the whole Earth. And now we have 33 regions, and 5 more regions are announced, and we will have the infrastructure available there. And if you see in the regions in white, this is the new regions, and in Germany we will be extended even more. And what is the region? Region is just the place where we put our data center. But within every region, we have so-called availability zones. And availability zones is where we put our data centers. And the way how we design the availability zones is that they are placed on the distance between each other. So far that if there would be any kind of disaster, like flood or earthquake, and we will lose one of the availability zone, it will not affect the performance of another availability zones. But at the same time, all the availability zones are interconnected by fiber links that provide very low latency, like single digit latency. And with this latency, you can implement distributed database. So within just several clicks of the mouse, you can deploy your application across multiple availability zones and make sure that even though something happens with 1 or 2 availability zones, your application will keep working and you will not lose the traffic from your customers, and you will not lose the revenue that your customers bring to you. Security is the top priority for AWS. And that's why we employ so-called shared responsibility model. AWS is responsible for the core infrastructure. It means that we make secure all the compute, storage that we provide, database, managed service networks, our regions, and availability zones. So AWS takes care of the security of the infrastructure. But the customers are responsible for securing the workloads and data you put within a cloud. And AWS provides some services that help you do that, like the services that help you to encrypt the traffic, the services that help you to build and manage firewalls and security groups. But at the same time, if you do not trust the services that provide the security that is delivered by AWS, AWS is designed in a way that it's completely transparent to the third-party solution. Some of these solutions actually are available from AWS Marketplace. So if you employ Fortinet security solution, for just as an example, in your on-premise, then you can get the Fortinet virtual device and install it directly from AWS Marketplace within the cloud. But you also can bring your own software. You can integrate with your own HSM models. You can bring your own encryption, and you can use the security tools that you can trust. And when we say that AWS is responsible for the security of the infrastructure, for the security of the cloud itself, it doesn't mean that you have to trust us by the words. The AWS is compliant for with 143 different compliance framework, including security compliance framework like ISO or PCI DSS for the payment security, and for many other security framework. And this means that some third-party auditors visited the AWS infrastructure. They looked at the processes that AWS employs to secure the infrastructure, to operate the infrastructure, and they confirmed that AWS cloud is really secure. So you can rely on it. You can look at these audit reports. It's publicly accessible using AWS services. So you just go there, download the audit report, and read by yourself. And now I would like to provide some examples of the customers that use a cloud. For example, Technodom. This is the company in Kazakhstan. This is the electronics retailer. They have the shops, the physical shops across the country, and they also have the e-commerce site for that. And as a retailer, they use a lot of analytics to decide on what type of the product they would like to sell, to understand the customer behavior and so on. So they employ a lot of machine learning. And to do this, they use AWS SageMaker services. And actually, this is just a common umbrella for multiple different services. So in total, they employ more than 47 AWS services. And what they was able to achieve, they was able to increase the data quality by 70% and increase development productivity by 40% by using the cloud. Very often we're being told that we cannot migrate our application or our workloads to the cloud because of some personal data regulation or because of some concern about the data security. And Technodom example shows that there's a lot of applications that do not require you to migrate the personal data, because you can benefit from machine learning or from analytics solution by using the data that do not employ any personal data at all. Another example is the company called Eurobet. And Eurobet is a company in Georgia that provides online gambling services, some kind of online casino. And they was target for DDoS attacks, and they paid a lot of money to their ISPs to protect them from DDoS attacks. Eurobet decided to migrate to AWS, and within AWS they use a service called AWS Shield Advance. And AWS Shield Advance, it's a DDoS protection service that employs machine learning under the hood that can detect DDoS attacks and automatically mitigate it. So basically, all that they need to do, they just put a tick on a service saying, okay, enable us to use AWS Shield Advance. They do not need to make any configuration. And AWS Shield Advance use advantage of that AWS cloud have more than 450 points of connection to the public internet. And when a DDoS attack happens, we can cut the traffic at the very entrance of the AWS backbone. So you will not be consuming your resources to process something fraudulent requests. And one more example of using some modern technologies like generative AI. So I hope that many of you is familiar with what the generative AI. You heard the names like Anthropic Claude, or you heard the name of ChatGPT. So this is the large language model that can mimic the human behavior. They can provide some reasoning. And the Aker system is the company that does some data processing, and they need to test their solution. And to test their solution, they have to use some data sets, but they cannot put those data in the cloud because of some regulatory issues. And what they was looking for, they was need to create a synthetic data set that would resemble the real data set, but do not have the personal data and still keep the statistic features of the original data set. So Aker system used Amazon Bedrock service. And Amazon Bedrock service is a kind of special service that provide user access to the multiple of LLM models. So you can easily choose what type of the LLM model you would like to employ for a particular solution, because different models, they have different performance, they have the different cost of the use. So they used Claude model, and this model create them a new synthetic data set that they was able to use as a test data set for their own application. And this helped them to reduce the analysis time from 4 days they spent before to just 1 day. And there is only 1% of difference in distribution of between the original data and synthetic data. So it means that synthetic data become like really the same data as if they could receive in the real case. So to conclude, why do companies choose cloud for their workload? Because of the elasticity of the workload, because of this pay to as you go approach, the companies can experiment more, and they can test new ideas without the necessity to invest a lot of money in a new infrastructure, because you can do the experiment and you can switch off the infrastructure that you don't need anymore. And when you do a lot of experiment, it's much easier to find the idea that will be accepted by your own users. And at the same time, because of this pay-as-you-go approach, you are not spending a lot of money. You can optimize your infrastructure. So basically, you will be able to process more requests for less money. And why do companies choose AWS? First of all, because we have this breadth and depth of the services that help you to start really quick. You don't need to spend your time deploying some solution that like basic building blocks like storage, databases, networking, and analytics. You can use the existing solution provided by AWS. You can benefit from 18 years of experience of AWS deploying this kind of solution. You can rely on this and on AWS infrastructure. And this is one of the reasons why Gartner recognize AWS as a cloud leader. They put AWS in the cloud leader quadrant for 13 years consecutively. So that's all from my side, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. So, Igor just told us about why should you migrate, or why could you migrate, why you can plan this. And my section is about how to migrate to AWS. It's not going to be a very deep technical section, but it's about the strategy and tools. So in any transition, in any migration, in any changes, you have to plan first. Of course, because we've met a lot of projects that haven't been done well because of poor planning. So every transition, every implementation of new solution have to be started with planning. And the first stage, of course, it's assessment of current infrastructure. Before you move for your workload to the cloud, or maybe thinking about creating some hybrid infrastructure, you have first to understand what is on your premise. And that's why we always start with assessment. We inventory your hardware, software, network components, and of course we need to identify legacy systems and any bottlenecks, performance bottlenecks, and of course bottlenecks linked to some software limitation. And it's not that straightforward because every assessment is a bit different, because there is no absolutely the same infrastructure in the world. They all are different a bit. In the second stage of the planning, you have to define why. What you want to achieve. You have to set up your measurable, clear, smart objectives, like what you want to achieve. We want to reduce costs on this particular workload. We want to make this service work faster. We want to avoid maybe a possible disaster. We have to achieve a fast time of recovery after any failure. So defining goals will lead you to the next section, to the understanding what you want to migrate and what is the best way to do this. And then you are developing a migration roadmap. So in this plan, in this roadmap, you define in every phase, every stage of the migration process. You establish timelines, milestones, of course. So what you have to do in what period of time, and what kind of measurable results you want to achieve. And of course, you have to identify risks. So migration is a project. It's you have to be very responsible, and the good planning needs to be done to achieve your goals. After the assessment, you are identifying the resources for migration. So, as I mentioned before, you have to clearly understand what really needs to be migrated. In most cases, you don't have to migrate all to achieve your goals, but you have to define your critical systems, the systems that need to be need to work faster, need to be more elastic or more reliable. And of course, you set some list of priorities. In what priority you will start this migration. And of course, compatibility, dependencies, again, bottlenecks and legacy systems should be defined in this identification stage for migration. Amazon define different migration strategies. Not all of them here, but I just posted most popular of them in my slide. The first one and the simplest one is rehosting, lift and shift. You just copy, you just take your solutions, your virtual machines with databases, with application installed, and just moving them to the cloud. You're replicating them, you're creating the same virtual machines, and moving them from your premise services. This is good, simple approach, but of course it's not that cost effective, because when you work often with different cloud providers, you are getting to understand that you can't compare hardware resources with cloud resources just one by one, because actually in the cloud you can consume less computing power. You will need less computing power than you are actually using on your premise. That's why rehosting is the first, is the simplest, but maybe not the best way. The second one, replatforming. Yes, of course, it's focusing on optimizing your application. So in this approach, you could consider the changing of maybe your database server installed on virtual machine to a platform as a service database service. It's maybe faster, it's maybe easier to administrate, it's maybe cheaper, but of course it's going to cost you some time and expertise to plan it, to test it, to choose the best solution. But replatforming is always better than just lift and shift migration. The fourth approach is refactoring. In this case, you work with redesigning the application. Actually, sometimes it's involves some coding, some changes in software, some changes in your operation, but it's useful when you're using maybe old legacy solutions that can be improved with refactoring, with changing to leverage new cloud capabilities, new cloud services. And one more approach is repurchasing. Just change your provider. Just change the on-premise solution with cloud solution. Change the maybe perpetual software to subscription or something like this. So there are a lot of different strategies. We actually work with all of them. Yes, I agree that rehosting is the first and simplest and most often approach, but still we are working with more strategic approach, and we are ready to discuss any other approaches, any other strategies with you if you have some question about this. What can you tell about the tools? Actually, AWS for the moment has a huge portfolio of assessment and migration tools. There are a lot of them. I'm not going to tell about every tool, because as you can see on the slide, there are a lot of tools for assessment, for your readiness, for evaluate your services, application, virtual machines, to assess your current infrastructure. Then a lot of tools in mobilize and planning section. Then you can plan the steps, plan the priorities, and plan, of course, the others. And in the third block, we see a lot of migration tools. One of the popular is application migration service, one of the favorite one, and of course, more of them are here. So this slide I just posted here to show you that AWS has really huge and solid portfolio of assessment, planning, and migration tools that which you can use in your own projects, or you can, of course, discuss it with a partner, with somebody with expertise, to choose the best tool and maybe to make your partner to do this project for you. It depends on your expertise and your goals. But we actually already work with a lot of these tools, and we can confirm that with AWS services, you can really plan success. You can plan and provide the successful migration to AWS. Most popular tools are here. Migration Hub, it's the central point of view of all your migration batches, migration processes in the company. Application migration services, it's automated service of your server database, mostly servers, virtual machines, and online and your web online applications from premise to cloud. Then specified database migration service. It's focused on data migration from one database to another, with changing maybe some instances, approaches, but it allows you to migrate heavy loaded, always on solutions without any interruptions, and then switch without any downtime. So it's focused on database. And the simplest one is AWS Server Migration Services. It's a pretty simple tool, just focusing on migration of virtual machine. It's simple, and because it's popular, that's why it's popular. So if you are considering the migration, so take a look of this short list of migration tools from AWS to assess how they can help you in your to achieve your goals. And of course, in every migration process, you will meet with some challenges. Common challenges are there. Different infrastructure, different OS types. Of course, problems with compatibility. Legacy application, we still meet them everywhere. Sometimes it's applications from vendors. Sometimes it's own created application, but already not that modern, and they not leverage all new capabilities. Of course, complex database that are filled with different data that need to be maybe restructured, refactored, and so on. Continuously changing and busy workloads, then you can't migrate that fast, and data is changing every second, and it forces you to find the solutions to migrate this data without any interruption, without any data loss. And of course, in every project, you will need the skills. Sometimes you need some kind of expertise that is not available now in your company. Not every company needs an AWS architect as their employer, but sometimes you will need the help to plan the migration, to provide, to architect the solution, and of course those specialists are very expensive on the market. So special skills are needed in every project. And of course, other challenges, it's possible downtime and performance disruption. If you don't plan their reliable way and you don't use a reliable tool for migration, you can meet with downtime and performance disruption, of course. And every project meet some tight timelines and limited budgets. That's why every migration project is a difficult but achievable path, but that can be passed with someone helps or without any help. It's up to you. And of course, we are telling about our partner professional services, because it's not enough just to buy cloud subscription to migrate to the cloud. Of course, you will need some consulting, you will need some help, and you can, if you have any question about this, of course, feel free to contact us. We're not going to charge you for every question. So we are ready to deliver any experience. You're ready to answer on your questions, to make your find the best way in your migration. And why could you use the partner professional services? Of course, the first head, it's expertise and experience. A lot of certified specialists usually works in AWS certified partners. Of course, if we or our partners provide some kind of migration, we are supporting all stages, from assessment and planning till the end of the migration. One of the popular services is, of course, cost and resource optimization, because not enough just to migrate your workloads to the cloud, but after some times of real production work, there are a lot of opportunity to cut some costs, to optimize your budget, because in the cloud there are a lot of tools and approaches to cut costs. And AWS really have really strong and comprehensive approach to cost optimization that we are also using in our project. And last but not least, AWS partners and distributors often has access to specialized services and solutions that could not be available to any person and any customer. So feel free to connect with AWS partner to discuss how can they help with your migration. Even if you're completely sure that it can be done by yourself, feel free just ask some questions. It might be useful. And also we can always connect you with our partners and colleagues from AWS, with architects, with consultants, to find to choose the best solution for you. And a bit of advertisement, samples of our professional services that we are providing for AWS for the moment from the Moog Group company. These two are pretty simple. Back. It's two simple services, assessment and planning. Then in these services, we not changing anything on your site. We not even gain access to your data or some maybe your security policies. We just making an assessment of current infrastructure, how it actually built, what kind of authentication, application, storages, database, service, network, and so on, what is on your premise. And we can give you some recommendation how to migrate, how to replace, what could be converted, where can you use SaaS or pay as services, and you'll get the detailed report with cost estimate. And soon, I believe we'll start some promos with those services. Just keep tuned to our news. Maybe you will know about this first. Second one is proof of concept. So if you're thinking about building some cloud solution, but not sure how it's going to work, and you're not ready to spend time to build a demo lab or testing environment, this is also the part of our services. We can take your tasks, your maybe goals. We can create AWS demo environment. Sometimes it's no cost for you. And we can build a pilot solution, pilot deployment of choose service. We're using different services. We can build a pilot with Outpost, storage gateway, data scenes. It's about hybrid solutions. And of course, we can build absolutely cloud pilot not connected with your premise, depends on you. So if you need a planning, if you need a proof of concept, feel free to contact us. And a little bit deeper in free our services that we are providing for the moment. First of them, of course, it's cloud migration services. Cloud migration professional service, it's actually about migrating, about transferring your business application, your data, your different workloads, virtual machines, and so on, from on-premise infrastructure to the cloud. It's actually consists with four streams, 4 steps. First one is assessment, of course, as I mentioned before. Second is planning, when we plan the migration strategy. Then the execution, the migration itself, where then we're transferring chosen applications and data and different and other workloads to the cloud. And of course, optimization phase. Then we are focusing on enhancement and to making it more convenient, making it sometimes cheaper, and gaining the optimal performance. And what is the service deliverable? What you get during this project, during and after this project. Of course, it's detailed migration plan, it's assessment data, it's access to migration services and migration itself, it's optimization of your application in the cloud, it's support, security assurance, of course, and post-migration monitoring. And of course, it's all these services about the seamless transition without any interruption and data loss. Second service, it's disaster recovery on AWS. What is about? It's pretty simple to describe because everybody knows, I believe, everything about disaster recovery. Of course, why we do this? To make you sure that your business will not stop with any problem with any IT problems. So we are using cloud infrastructure for backup, for disaster recovery, and we can use absolutely any cloud platform, and sometimes it's a multi-cloud solution. We are focusing on minimized downtime and data loss, and focusing on design the solution for quickly data and whole system recovery. And of course, we're using advanced cloud capabilities like scalable storage, like replication, or like multi-regional deployment, and different other tools and capabilities to make your disaster recovery work fast and reliable. Of course, the key benefits are absolutely clear. It's operational resilience. You are mitigating any risk of losing any data. And of course, it's some kind of strategy, because you know what you will do if something happens with your service, with your data, with your application. And deliverables are in here. It's about 10 points. Of course, your data recovery, disaster recovery assessment, your custom plan with your focused recovery time objectives and recovery point objectives. It's automated backup services implemented. It's a replication between different regions. And of course, it's assurance that you are complying with any security and regulatory standards. And of course, as you can see, a lot of our service deliverables are included in our service, like monitoring, like training support, like testing, and so on. So we are really work hard with different cloud providers and solutions, and now we can say that we have deep expertise in disaster recovery, in building disaster recovery solutions. And the third one is AWS cost optimization service. The purpose, as I mentioned before, even if you migrate to the cloud, there are a lot of ways to cut some costs, to optimize your payments. And this service, some kind of more consulting services, but actually it involves some audits. This allows you to understand what you're paying for, to plan the full utilization of your resources, and includes, of course, a right sizing of the resources in the cloud. This will help you to achieve lowest cost without losing any functionality and security in the cloud, because it's really possible. As I mentioned before, AWS has a lot of tools and approaches to cut your spends on the cloud. Benefits, of course, they are completely clear. It's a reduction in cloud spend. It's clear visibility of costs. You understand what you're paying for. It's right sizing of your database, storages, and virtual machines. It's allocation cost by the workloads. You can track and categorize expenses between different departments, different services, different applications in your company. And of course, it's some kind of proactive anomaly detection. You can define where can you spend sometimes unpredictable money, but actually it's predictable if you do it right. So we can also provide this information to you after some audits. And of course, we eliminate waste, so we identify unused resources and cut them, and spreading the workloads between different resources, maybe to avoid any additional and wasted costs. What you get after this service, of course, you will identify your cost leaks. You will get the different reduction strategies. You will understand what you're paying for, and cost will be allocated between different resources. Cost will be monitored. Your workloads will be right-sized. Your storage will be optimized, and of course, we can cut some costs on data transfer reduction on networking costs, and we are working also with your contracts to find maybe best SKU and best providers to use your AWS clouds and workloads with minimal waste and maximum outcome. So the cost optimization is our third very popular service that we are providing really frequently. The conclusion. So my goal wasn't to make you fear of the migration, but my goal was to understand that migration it's a very responsible and sometimes difficult project that should be done with help of professionals. If you are really sure that you have enough competences, of course, feel free to do this. And AWS provides every needed information in their libraries. And of course, AWS provides a lot of brilliant instruments for migration. But if you will need any help, if you will need any consulting, if you will need any expertise from out of your company, just feel free to contact us or any closest AWS partner to get some new knowledge, maybe to get some help. As I mentioned, migration to AWS offers really a lot of benefits: scalability, cost savings, access to innovations, and if you're thinking about testing, about planning, just remember that proper planning and utilizing of partner services can make this process easier and more successful and more efficient. So feel free to contact us if you have any questions on AWS migration, and don't hesitate if you have any ideas and you're not sure how to implement them with the cloud. We are ready to help. So that's all from my side. We are right in time, but we still have some time for questions. If you have any, feel free to ask. We are ready to answer. Thank you for your attention. And we are still here to answer your questions in chat or in voice, as you prefer.